the Marxist way.
Karl Marx's proposition was a very attractive idea.
I chose my friends carefully. The Marxist professors, the Marxist professors, the Marxist professors, the Marxist...
You very often have all kinds of unintended adverse consequences. So I had to experiment, subversive activity. That was a lot of fun.
The highest art of warfare is not to fight at all, but to subvert anything of value in your enemy's country, be it moral traditions, religion, respect to your authority and leaders, cultural traditions, anything. Put white against black, old against young, I don't know, wealthy against poor, and so on. Doesn't matter. As long as it disturbs society, as long as it cuts the moral fiber of a nation, it's good. And then you just take this country. When everything is subverted, when the country is disoriented and confused, when it is demoralized and then destabilized, then the crisis will come.
So what is his target now? Us, America.
And we need people like George Soros, who is fearless and willing to step up when it counts.
Mr. Soros and his foundations can help to bring more foreign influence into the United States.
I think you put your finger on a very important flaw in the current world order, and that is that only Americans have a vote in Congress.
But the leaders of these groups, almost without exception, claim to be acting in the name of Marx and Lenin. A further analysis reveals that these people are not the product of the working class, which they claim to represent, but come from the privileged middle class and upper class. They're intellectuals with college educations, and in fact, it's within the university environment that they first become steeped in the theories of Marx and Lenin.
Are you one of Lenin's useful idiots?
Well, I suppose so. I'm a traitor to my class.
I chose my friends carefully. The Marxist professors, the Marxist professors, the Marxist professors, the Marxist professors.
The Marxists tend to be the theoreticians. The Leninists are the doers, the ones that go out and make it happen. In the meantime, what they were building was socialism, they said, and those people called themselves Leninists. This is one of the basic strategies of Lenin. If you were to go into a country that we're trying to take over, and those people had a strong culture, strong nationalistic feelings, they didn't want to give up their history and their nationalism. So what do you do, comrades? Do you go in there and tell them that that's stupid? Do you go in and preach internationalism that we know is the way of the future? So no, of course not, because they would reject you. You go in and tell them what they want to hear. Be the best nationalist leader there. Let them follow you, thinking you represent them, so that you can come to power. Once you're in power, he said, then you can betray them. One of the theories that Lenin taught was the strategy of a feigned defeat or feigned retreat in order to lure your enemy into a vulnerable position. Now, this is not original with him. You can find this in the history books. I discovered that strategy brilliantly taught by Tamerlane. Sun Tzu taught it in his famous little treatise, An Art of Warfare, but Lenin applied it to the strategy of diplomacy and politics.
Wow.
You see. And he said, therefore, let us pretend to be defeated and destroyed so our enemies will lower their guard. And it worked. And of course, the West came in with money and investments, and then after a while, they built their industry up. They saved themselves from collapse so they could stay in power. And this is what he said, do whatever you must do to achieve and maintain power. So they got to that position, and then they changed their voices again and said, okay, we're going to kill the capitalists, and they expropriated all of the property that had been invested and so forth. They've done that several times in history, and so when I saw this so-called breakup of communism, I said, well, there they go again, you see? But people don't know this history. They don't know the strategy of Lenin. If you know the principles of the great leader, Lenin, what he's really saying to his followers is, hey, comrades, this is the game we're playing. We're going through this cycle one more time so that we can consolidate our power and lull our opponents into an indefensible position, make him vulnerable so that we can smash him with our clenched fist, is how he used to say.
Terrorism, of course, is integral with the revolution. I mean, Lenin was a terrorist, Trotsky's a terrorist. the Cheka, the predecessor of the KGB, the founder of the KGB was one of the most evil men ever to have lived, called Felix Dzerzhinsky.
Yes.
And you might be interested in the following interesting fact. Guess what Felix Dzerzhinsky's birthday is? 11th of September.
We want a democratic socialist republic, Marxist in analysis, similar to communism. Our revolution has a profoundly anti-imperialist character. We are anti-Yankee. We are guided by scientific doctrine, by Marxism Leninism. A revolutionary organization of communist men and women. Our goal is the destruction of U.S. imperialism and the achievement of a classless state, world communism.
Most of them are self-proclaimed Marxist Leninists who are dedicated to exactly the same revolutionary theories and objectives to which the Soviets are dedicated. There's no fundamental conflict between them. And the terrorists serve the purpose of the Soviet Union, even though that may not be their primary intent. Those who commit these acts never refer to themselves as terrorists, but as revolutionaries. In fact, the very essence of Marxism-Leninism is the adoption of a whole dictionary of words and phrases that have quite different meanings than what they seem to have. That terrorism as such is not viewed by Marxist-Leninists as a mechanism for the seizure of power. To the professional revolutionary, terrorism is but one tactic out of many in a larger strategy of total war. That its objective is to weaken a target government, not by confronting its military force, but by causing its civilian population to react in ways that will undermine the nation. In other words, the action is in the reaction. The Marxist-Leninists could never succeed if their intended victims were aware of the strategy and tactics being used against them. By the same token, if these ploys remain unknown to the average person, then no amount of intelligence operations or internal security can protect us. Because innocent people, particularly among the youth who are being exposed to the theories of Marx and Lenin, will fall into the trap. And new revolutionaries will be created faster than the old ones even can be identified. So the ultimate solution lies in an informed electorate, the rock foundation of any system that hopes to remain free.